Hello everyone and welcome. Make a cup of your favorite drink and get comfortable because this is a wonderful time for news stories from YellowCat. Send your own stories in the comments below and maybe they'll be in our new video. What is your "but I am the manager" story? Part 2. I'm a manager of a manufacturing company. Since I have been here, we have had an issue with an employee. Basically, he is a sleazy bully who picks on people and likes bossing people he shouldn't be bossing. It has escalated since I joined the management team, and last Thursday, it took a turn for the worse. He so pushed the guy he works with, a guy who is very hard of hearing. That there almost was a fight. Big dude, tall and heavy and strong, was almost in tears when I took him in my office because the sleazebag had finally gotten to him. He had specifically used Big Dude's hearing damage to pick at him, and the incident was about the bully making fun of Big Dude's lack of hearing. Not effing okay. You don't make fun of people's disabilities at work. Dude is a great worker. He deserves no S just because he doesn't hear too well. I got to take the sleazebag into my office one final time. I had taken him in there many times before. Those times, he just smiled and asked me to point to any particular incidents. This time, he did the same thing, but I told him to go home immediately, call his union rep, and return on Friday. The look on his face when he realized I had finally had enough of his ass was priceless. I'm going to go out and ask him for his union rep's details now. I'm gonna savor the look on his face as he feels the noose tighten. Of course, the mother effer knows it won't be cheap for us to get rid of him. He has been banking on that keeping him employed for a long while. But I and the whole rest of the management team don't give a flying F anymore. So what? It might cost us $100K to get rid of him? I don't care. That's cheap compared to the damage he has already done. We are sitting down with our lawyer tomorrow. Then we're firing that dirty piece of S bully. My favorite is a common one. I am the youngest in my store by 30 plus years. Customer asks about the price of a product, says, "Are you sure?" and walks off. Usually 5 minutes later, I will see them talking to a coworker asking about price, and coworker yells, "Diabetes, can you check price on?" I walk over smiling and just say the same price before I see the look of shame that they didn't trust me because I am a young ass. Worked as a teller supervisor for about 8 months. I wasn't the highest person in chain of management, but because I closed, the branch manager was gone pretty quick after I got in. So there was this one Jack A customer in the drive-thru lane, and he wanted to cash a check not drawn off of us. He had an account with us, but it was overdrawn a good bit. I had already been there for about 5 or so months at this point, and had never seen this guy before. After looking over everything, I proceed to tell him that I unfortunately wouldn't be able to give him cash, but if he wanted to deposit it, his money would go in that night. He got visibly angry with me and proceeded to tell me he didn't care and wanted to cash it anyways. I once again told him that we wouldn't be able to do that, but told him he could take it to the bank it was drawn off of, which was right down the street, and see if they would cash it. He gets even more angry at this point and pulls out a stack of hundreds, tells me to deposit it to make his account positive, and then cash the check. I explained to him our policies again, and even though I could budge a little, he was being a D, so I said no. He then asks to speak to the manager on duty. I tell him it will be one moment while I grab him. I do a little 360 and tell him that my manager has left for the day, leaving me the manager in charge. I give his option one more time and he deposits the check and leaves. I have never felt more triumphant in my life than at that moment. My story comes from the customer side. Was moving out of state and called Comcast to find out where I drop off my equipment. They gave me a location based on my address, so I take my equipment to that location about 25 minutes away. I wait in line for an hour and a half, finally get up to the window, and I'm told that the person over the phone gave me the wrong location. I needed to take it to an office 45 minutes away in the opposite direction from where I lived. I argued and was asked to step out of line. I refused and called the 800 number. Got to a customer service rep who confirmed that I was at the right location. Put it on speaker so the counter employee could hear the rep over the phone. counter employee still refused to take the equipment. I asked for a manager. Counter employee left and returned with someone who was clearly not that manager. The manager told me her name. I asked the service rep on the phone if he could look up the name of the manager at this location. After 2 minutes, he told me that it was a different woman. I asked for the real manager and was told by the second woman, I am the real manager. I asked for the real manager by name, and the 2 women behind the counter became belligerent and refused to get her. I left my equipment and the counter and turned to walk out when one of the women yelled and said I'd have to pay for it if some random person took it. I pointed to the cameras and told them that there was video proof the equipment was in their possession and walked out of the building. A few days later, I got a call from Comcast Corporate. The phone service rep had put in some kind of red flag report and someone viewed the security footage. Corporate confirmed that neither woman I dealt with were managers and both had been reprimanded. Then they gave me $20 credit on my final bill. Worked at a Papa John's around a year ago, and typically about 40% of customers would come in to complain just to get free food, and we'd usually just give in because it's not worth arguing. I got my pizza, and there were 3 slices missing. Like, okay, whatever you say. And we'd also get the people who obviously hated their lives so much that they felt the need to belittle every worker there. And that's exactly what happened. I'm almost done with my shift. It's me and another manager working. This guy and his son, who was dressed in baseball attire, came in, obviously just lost a game because you can see it in both of their faces. Guy goes, "Where's my thick, crusty pizza my wife ordered on the phone?" My other manager apologizes because she thought the lady said thin crust, which is an honest mistake because we don't even have thick crust. She offers him the mess-up pizza, breadsticks, and their original order. Dude goes from peed off to, "Where's the manager?" "We both are, sir." "Well, I'm surprised they hire dumb bees like her here." And the son chimes in talking S2. Mind you, this kid is like 10 talking adults. I ask him politely to leave, and he proceeds to call my coworker a dumb C. I was so appalled. I was so close to fighting this guy because the girl was the sweetest person ever. But yeah, long story short, baseball dads are peas. Obligatory, not a manager, but nonetheless relevant since it involves shutting people down from a position of authority. So, I work for an anime convention. There is an incredible amount of drama and rumors that go around. It is insane. So this was a couple of years ago, and I happened to be waiting for an elevator with 2 girls who are talking about my convention's future. It's Sunday. It could be a 10 or 15-minute wait. And then one of them says, "Oh my god, I am so glad convention is moving back to Hiat next year." We weren't. It wasn't big enough to hold us anymore. And it's always better to quash rumors before they have a chance to circulate too much. So I politely say, "Actually, it's going to be here again." I get these obnoxious know-it-all looks from both of them. One of them goes, "No, it's not. I heard it from my friend on security." Oh, so now it's a I know someone game. But my direct boss is the owner of the convention. I have held hotel contracts for the next 3 years in my hands. I know where it will be held. But I don't want to pull the I know someone higher up than you ass. That's petty. So instead, I say, "Why don't you email in and settle this for us?" We've got the time, so she pulls out her phone, goes to our website, finds the contact page, and starts typing out an email. She hits send. A few seconds later, my phone beeps. I've got a new email. I open it. It's clearly from her. It says, "Convention is moving back to Hiat next year, right?" I type back, "No," and hit send. Most satisfying no by a long shot. Years ago when I was in the Marines, 2002 or 2003, out in 29 Palms, I was the NCO on duty managing the younger Marines in the platoon doing after-hours work. We also had visiting some civilians from Headquarters Marine Corps who were doing some field tests on the new howitzers. One of my junior Marines, a big corn-fed Kentuckian, was under one of the old howitzer and starts being about, "If I could meet the a-hole who designed this BS." One of the civilians overheard this and asked if he could steal my guy away for a minute, in which I obliged. As soon as the junior Marine walked over, the civilian stuck out his hand and introduced himself. The junior Marine brought all his pleasantries, and then the civilian said, "Nice to meet you. I'm the a-hole who designed that." Friend told me this story in college. He worked at Walmart but was a stalker. For some reason, he had to cover a break at customer service. A lady brings in an old TV. So old, it never came with a remote. It had knobs. Was wanting to return it for a refund. He kindly explained to the lady that he could not take this TV for a refund or even store credit as it was obviously too old. The customer got upset and demanded to speak to the manager, so he called over the manager and explained the situation. The manager looked over the situation and agreed with him. They were not going to take this ancient TV for a return. The customer then decided that still wasn't good enough and started demanding to speak to Sam Walton, founder of Walmart. Manager explained that was simply not possible. Customer started escalating the situation, demanding to speak with Sam Walton. Manager then looks at the lady and says, "We have a wide variety of shovels in the lawn and garden department if you'd like to purchase one so you can go dig them up." I worked at a big box electronics store. Anyway, I'm walking around counting some inventory because of suspected theft when it happened. This guy did all three things that pee me off in one fell swoop. He whistles, snaps his fingers, and says, "Hey you!" I was a little taken aback by the epic D level this guy was achieving. Ed Hardy t-shirt, jeans around his knees, and some gold jewelry he must have got out of a claw machine at a bowling alley. So I look behind me, then look back at him and say, "Excuse me sir, are you talking to me?" And he was like, "Yeah, this box is damaged, had a small nick, and there ain't no way I'm paying $50 for it, so why don't you go get your manager and get him to give me a deal, aight, box boy?" To which I replied, "Alright sir, 1, I'm not a dog, so never whistle at me again. 2, I'm not a box boy, I'm the manager here. 3, the box is barely scratched, so you can pay the price or get out." He just stood there stunned and catching flies, then left. His boy down the aisle, I guess, heard the whole thing and was making fun of him on the way out. It was a good day. Not me, but I was friends with the manager and bore witness to this incident. My manager, let's call her Kelly, was getting ready to make a run to the bank. She came up and wordlessly took the big bills out of my drawer when it popped after a transaction. We've worked together for 2 years and done this hundreds of times, I hardly notice. My customer, however, seemed to think it was bad for some reason. She glared at Kelly and said, "That was really rude for you to do that." Kelly turns, "Pardon me?" I said, "That was really rude for you to just butt in like that." Kelly offered a generic retail apology and continued on her way to the office. Some customers are odd, not much you can do about it. The lady rolled her eyes and started gathering her things together. "Who would I ask about requesting a donation?" she asked. "It's for the high school soccer team." With growing amusement, I directed her to the office. I craned my neck, wanting to hear what was said. I could hardly contain my laughter when I heard, "You're the manager?" followed by the lady walking out of the store very quickly. Kelly and I both had a good laugh about it. Make sure you check who the manager is before you decide to be a pompous old bee. If you want to watch the part 1, click the link here. Thank you for watching. Guys, thank you for all the support and likes. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. See you next time.